welcome to ChewintheCud Season 2, Episode 12. My name's Andrew Jones, and with me as always...
Neil Greggor.
How
Good to be back. Yeah, very good. Thanks, and you?
Good. Yeah. We are here. We are joined today by Neil Christensen from Steanbow Farms. Good afternoon, Neil.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. We thought, as hopefully many of you will have listened, we did our May podcast from the Southwest Dairy Development Centre. And while we were here, we thought we'd take the opportunity and see if Neil would join us, and he has, so thank you. Unfortunately, from our lovely view earlier of looking out across the cows, we got booted out because there's another meeting, so we've now come down to Mike Jones's office, so it's not quite as good a view, but hopefully the sound might be a little bit better as we don't have glass everywhere, but we'll see. But like usual, Neil, we'll start. I mean, what's your background? I guess obviously farming, but I mean, what do you do, where are you, all of those sorts of things?
I've been on the farm forever, I guess. So I'm in business with my brother.
Yep. It's Mike, isn't it?
Mike.
Yep.
So yeah, Dad was I suppose the founder of it all, as far as we're concerned as a family.
Yep.
Sadly passed last year.
Yep.
Sorry to hear that. So we just say it's the two of us now. So really, how we structure the business, it's a limited company, and I kind of look after livestock, and Michael looks after kind of what we call operations.
The cropping side.
So cropping, forage, machinery.
Yep.
Manures.
Yep.
So it works well. So we've got our own little areas that we can specialise in. But obviously the two are integrated, and one needs the other.
Well, of course
Yes.
they do.
Yep.
Of course they do. I mean, when we say livestock, it's not just because we're obviously at Southwest Dairy Development Centre, where you've got a herd of cows. You've also got another herd of cows on, let's call it the home farm, but you've also got chickens as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we're probably more chicken farmers with a few cows, if I'm honest.
When you look at numbers, yes.
Yeah, well, and turnover, and probably profitability as well.
Okay.
There we go. The good thing about chicken, you don't need lots of tractors and
That's
right,
land.
of course.
So how many chickens have you got
So
now?
we've got about, I think, just under, between, it varies a little bit, but about 470,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just
Quite a few chicken.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was bad enough growing up with 21,000, and you're telling me you've got 470,000.
Yeah. So it's 12 sheds, team of 5, self-contained, sort of a 7-week cycle.
Yeah. How long do you get for turnaround now?
We're about 10 to 14 days.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
I
a week would be better.
I mean, I certainly remember as a kid, you'd probably be the same. It used to be, about 3-week turnaround? And I remember an extreme of only 4 or 5 days. It was just ridiculous trying to do it amongst everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the world is, plus the fact the bird is, it grows so fast now.
Yeah.
Although, interesting enough, my daughter's just had a litter of puppies from her Labrador.
Yep.
And they were growing at the same speed as a chicken.
Is that right?
There's a fascinating dynamic for you. There you go. That's another podcast. For
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've never heard that before. That's great.
I mean, I know. We're getting completely off track. But
Sorry, yes.
No,
that's the plan.
I was going to say how chickens have changed. I mean, because I know myself, one of the sheds on the farm was probably early 60s and the other was late 70s, and even when we sold up it was still hand fed, and if you had Newcastle disease, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly was.
And we had to turn the water off and run around with watering cans. And I remember seeing a shed before I left for Australia, so when I was still at Cannington, and that was a modern shed, and it just opened your eyes where it automatically weighs everything, it doses everything, it does everything. It's probably moved on
Automatic
again,
water and
it's just...
They're very computerized, but it's still fascinating how the stockman, like anything, still has that ultimate ability to make an average or a very good crop.
Well, which to be honest,
definitely, very much
it
so.
is. I mean, what we've spoken about with Mike on the last podcast while we're here,
Right. Just where we were talking about that.
The technology and everything here, it's all a tool. It's not the answer to everything. It's a tool, and it's making use of that tool, and you still need that stockman to pick something up that no computer will ever. Who knows the way things are going, but no computer will ever pick up or just be able to know.
I mean, the good thing about computers is as long as they're working, obviously, is that they're always on duty.
Yes.
They don't really switch off.
And they're consistent.
Yes. As long as you set the parameters, the ventilation, feeding, etc. will happen.
Yep.
And it doesn't. I always refer to it as the stockman does a photograph and the computer does a video.
That's an interesting.
So you kind of
interesting
the
analogy.
stockman walks in, has a look,
Yep.
bonk, walks out again, whereas that computer is just playing
all
a
the time.
continuous reel.
Yeah.
Always looking, always monitoring.
That's a good one. I like
Making the little changes. As we see, today's different to yesterday.
Yep.
Especially on a windy day like this, that will make ventilation in effectively a sealed shed. It will make a difference.
that. Yeah.
Which direction winds? You think it's fascinating. Very much a sealed-ish, insulated building.
Well, I mean,
Still has an effect.
Still has the effect, yeah.
I mean, we found it, because when we first got out, I said, I'm going to try this bit of kit. Your first equipment first comment was, it's going to be too windy. And out there, it was just blowing. And then we walked in the shed, and it's like,
Dead quiet.
dead quiet.
Yeah.
The curtain was 2/3 up on one side, down on the other, and it was dead quiet. And you wouldn't have known it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the ventilation obviously is the key, because that's what.
Well, basically, yes.
Yeah.
It's about all of us. Is that get that environment right, and we'll thrive.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah, because that's exactly what we were saying after being into numerous different sheds.
Yeah.
Coming in here, the ammonia level was lower, which wasn't as smelly, and all it is, like with the chickens, that must be of incredible importance.
Yeah,
Is that-
well, especially and that's one thing as well we did mention earlier, but renewables and biomass.
I say, 'cause you've got biomass as well, haven't
Biomass and solar, because that's the thing with chicken, is you're either trying to heat it or cool it.
you? Yes.
So you start off at 30 degrees and you finish at sort of 18.
Yeah.
Talk us through that biomass.
So biomass, we're on some form of wood, be it pellet or chip. Basically, essentially a boiler on each shed.
Yep.
Right.
So that's an indirect source of heat.
So
Right.
you're using that rather than calogas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's doing like any boiler heats water,
Right.
pumps it round to a radiator. There's a fan that blows through the radiator. So you're in indirect heat.
Yep.
It's a nice dry heat.
Yep.
Whereas if you're using gas, we still have gas backup. Life.
Things happen.
Yep. And
Wow.
so that's basically a flame,
Yep.
a box heater.
Yeah.
So you're putting in CO2 and moisture,
Yep.
both of which you don't want. So that means you have to ventilate more.
Yeah.
That means you run more heat.
Because you're losing
just
more.
this cycle goes on.
Yeah, it just carries on and on. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But you still wonder, is burning wood actually? Is this really sustainable and environmentally friendly? I don't know. So there we go.
I know.
That was the incentive.
Yes.
And here we are.
Yes. But so you've got biomass, you've got chickens. So really, cows.
Cows.
You've
yes.
got 200 up
200
here.
here.
Yep.
Yeah, 600 at Steanbow. Yeah.
Yep.
Both, basically both are similar systems in the fact that we're aiming for an high output type.
Yep.
There is a grazing aspect to the dairy centre here.
Yep.
Because that's kind of what we signed up to, but it's not a grazing farm.
Yep.
And I think that's part of it. Ideally, from our point of view, we would like someone to pay for us to encourage the cows to graze.
Yep.
I think that's a trial.
Yep.
Personally.
Yep.
And if we last summer, it was our first year. There's some learning for us and the cows. They all come here from wherever. So to find their way out, shall we say, because with robot cows, or robot managed cows, that sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They choose.
Yep.
Everything they do is voluntary, essentially.
Yep.
And grazing within the parameters that we set is voluntary. So you're not, shall we say, herding the cows to a field or paddock.
They've got to wander
choose.
in and out. Yeah.
And it's fascinating with the weather, be it rain, it's too hot, it's too something, that they either stay out there or they come back in. And usually when they come back in, the whole lot come
back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And you think somewhere in there's some trial, but I don't know commercially who would pay for that.
So
there we go. Yeah.
It's robots up here.
Yeah.
What are you milking in at home?
Yeah, so at home we're milking in 2 herringbone parlours.
Yep.
Conventional.
You've run 2 herringbone farms for a while.
For a long time, yeah.
I seem to remember going up there.
Mid-80s.
Yeah, I was going to say.
May not be the same ones now. But
No, it'd be probably mid-90s for a Genus talk on TMR feeding, I think it was.
Yeah. No, it works well for us. I mean, we're sort of 5 to 5.40 in milk.
Yep.
2 parlours, 3 times a day milking, 2 guys, one in each parlour.
Do the cows cross over, or that's their herd?
We have just because of milking times, milking space, as in collecting yards, group sizes.
Yep.
So effectively 3 groups for each parlour.
Yep.
And that's because of design layout, etc.
Yeah, but
so really, an hour a group.
Yeah, but it's 2 herds effectively down there.
No, one herd.
One herd.
So it's 6 groups.
Right.
2 parlours. So just these 3 groups go in that parlour, and those 3 groups
That
go
parlour.
in that parlour. And
Right.
That's it, really.
And they stay in the same groups then, or do you move them accordingly?
To some extent, we have a heifer group. The rest are kind of a milking group, and then we've got one group is sort of a late pre-drying off
Yep.
group. Really.
Yep. Stale.
Yeah. So pre-drying off or cold cows, really. That's and we try and, because you've got to have some reason to group them, or do you? We do. That's some reason. I mean, you say, well, why is she going to go in there, not there? So we kind of roughly do it in lactation. So we have like one group is 4th lactation and above.
Yep.
Right.
So heifer group.
Yep.
And the other 3 groups generally are 2nds and 3rds.
Thirds. Yep.
It makes sense.
You've got to have a reason, and I just think keeping the younger cows together and the older cows just feels a little bit like a logic.
They are just black and whites,
Yep.
Holsteins. You did have some jerseys at one point.
yeah.
What got you in and out of jerseys?
Yeah. One. Well, the main reason we were producing for Arla,
Right.
or on a Sainsbury's.
So you're Sainsbury's, aren't you, if I remember right? Yep.
Line, and they changed their payment structure to be a penalty if it's below 3.8.
Right. Yep.
And we were just struggling to make that.
So basically to boost fats.
Yeah.
Boost
So
fats.
so we thought, what do we do? Do we go down the sort of palm oil, various products? Questionable one is that is a sort of a long-term plan. So we thought, well, we'll try it on the breed.
Yep.
And we're a flying hood anyway, so it was
Right.
we got to buy something.
Yep.
So it didn't seem too far out of our remit, really. It wasn't like we've had to start breeding and it's going to take us 3 years and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
So it was something we could dob in and out of, really, without really too much thought or trouble. We had to make a few alterations to cubicles.
I was gonna say,
We kept them as one group.
I was say, how did that go, having the
And milking
jerseys?
parlour, we just fitted an adjustable breast
Oh, yeah.
brisket rail,
Yep.
which was fine. So actually, apart from that, they settled in lovely. But we did it for, I think, 3 years. It did make a difference to milk
Quality.
solids.
Yep.
Volumes, it dropped,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
And I think we got to the point in the end where we just struggled to get them to produce enough milk
To justify.
really to justify their space. And I think of the dairy as a bit of a hotel in a way.
Yep.
A bed is a bed. Something, if it's in there, it's
Yeah.
got to be
Yeah.
producing.
Yeah.
And ultimately we sell milk.
Yeah.
So it was, and then I think we've just got probably a little bit better. We're feeding looser now as well.
Yep.
So I think there's various things that we've done through feeding that we can just sustain our milk over 3.8,
Yeah.
3.8s, 3.9s. You might see a 4 now and again, but when they're producing 36 or 38 litres, it's probably, and we're a flying herd, so breeding's a challenge.
So you're still a flying herd down there, but up here you've decided to breed
Yeah.
replacements.
There was an opportunity. There's a guy sort of local just down in Dorset who's will rear our sort of 50 to 60 head a year.
Yep.
Good producer. He's been contract rearing for others. So an opportunity came up. We could use him. So it seemed like the sensible thing for
do.
this dairy.
Yep.
It's not a huge number of animals, being that what it is and the focus. And actually, they have found some funding to do some genomics.
Yep.
So it just adds a bit of value to this entity, isn't it? Really.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was why
Yep.
opportunities all lined up. But I'm still my still hesitation is TB. Because we're not rearing on farm.
Yep.
And I'm still worried about that.
It is the biggest worry these days, isn't it?
I mean, Steanbow's just gone down. We had 3 reactors, and we've been
First time in a while.
Yeah, we haven't had a reactor. The last one was 3 years ago. It was a double IR.
Yep. So it's been a little while.
Yeah, so we've just about come out of the 3-year rule.
Yep. Here we go again.
And here we go. And two of the 3 had lesions as well. So they've obviously got it.
Yeah.
But we usually have a few IRs.
Yeah.
So it's always there.
Yeah. Because where do your replacements usually come from?
Try and source them from the continent.
Right.
That's my aim.
Yep.
The blue tongue this winter has been
So that's
been a
bad
bother.
complications, hasn't it?
So the last lot we bought were in-calf from Denmark.
Yep.
Black and whites.
Yep.
So,
Danish are useful for something.
Yeah, that's good.
well, I
to
must
hear.
say as well, Dad came from Denmark, so
Oh, right.
there is a bit of Scandinavian history in there. Yeah,
Bit of a
talking
pull.
Vikings, that's right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
He came over and,
Rode over, yeah.
back in the early 60s.
Right.
Yeah.
And have they been good? They're settling in?
Yeah, there's still a few left to carve, but yeah, they look all right.
Yeah.
Actually, we saw a heifer here that not long been here, 6 weeks or something this morning, wasn't it? And nice heifer. And what did Mike say? She was doing 50 litres or something. It was,
38 litres at one, and it was, yeah.
It was a nice heifer, whatever it was.
Pretty
nice
good.
heifer, nice
There was a one. Yeah, it was one higher than that. But yeah, they're nice. Some really nice heifers that I saw here today.
Yeah.
So what's your aim with the cows?
Aim with the cows. Oh, you do that, especially when found out last night a sort of local friend is just another one that's giving up.
Yep.
And it always makes you stop and think. We seem to have more and more AD plants popping up around us.
Yep.
Like big AD plants.
Yep.
So they're going to be sucking up land, maize usually, isn't it?
Yeah. I've heard a few people are losing land for maize actually for SFIs. The landlord
Yeah,
said
it's another one.
you can
another one.
pay. I can get more money out of an SFI. So and it's
doing nothing.
And there's significant amounts of maize ground we're talking about.
I don't quite understand why they want to be building them in this part of the world. It's a bit odd to me when you got east
Yeah.
acres and acres of land, which would take maize as a break crop or whatever, part of a rotation. And when you're trying to compete with dairy farmers around here, but you've also got the digestate. Where's that going to go? It all seems a bit odd.
Yeah, and where they actually send it to that, which is also
further and further away, I think.
yeah, that's sort of
That doesn't seem anyway. Sorry, that's
No, that's all right,
your
that's
question.
fine.
There is a sort of a logic there.
Yeah.
Where are we going with the dairy? It's another competition, isn't it, for land
Yes.
in an area that's already pretty competitive for land.
Yes.
And these guys are coming in. We need energy. We need food. What's more important? Okay.
Yes, it does feel like sometimes. Isn't it? I mean, it's like you've got the States. You've got corn, isn't it? Maize, corn growing for ethanol, and again, that question's being asked. Actually, what's more important, feeding people or a renewable source? Or it's very much in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another one of those debates, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, as far as we're concerned, we still like cows. We still like milking cows.
Yep.
This has been an interesting development here.
I bet it has.
Especially with the robots.
Yep.
So I can't deny that we are physically looking at with the grant scheme that's not necessarily new, is it? But the grant scheme that's available for robotic milking.
Well, I saw you last at one of the Laley Dairy XL road shows, didn't I? And
That's right.
that was
How many robots? I can't remember how many robots he had. And a rotary parlour, wasn't it?
I know. That was it. 3,500 cows, and half through robots and half through a rotary. But what made me laugh is we got 30 robots, right? Okay. We decided to start small. Okay. And I think everyone in the room was thinking sub 10, and he went, "Oh yeah, we started with 18."
yeah.
And everybody just was like, "What?" And he went, "Well, I am from America," or something like that, because he picked up that everyone was just he couldn't believe that he'd started with 18. That was just and that. But I guess it's June. Well, not when we record, but when this goes out, it's June.
Yep.
Another week's time after this goes out, or about then, your neighbour will be very busy, and it affects you. How does that affect you? Because I don't know if I've ever said before, I met your brother Duncan many years ago. When I was doing my last year at Cannington, it was the first year of the HNC, so he was coming doing his HNC, so I met him then, and then obviously I didn't finish my HNC, did my NDA, but went to Oz instead. But I remember asking him the questions then and what he said. So how do you cope with having, I'd noticed Pilton, but Glastonbury Pop Festival and all of that? How does that affect you and your business?
I mean, it's something we've what do you say? We don't know any different.
Well, I say it's always been, hasn't it?
It's grown, obviously. We were tenants when it started. We bought the farm in early 90s, so that really, because the landlord didn't want anything to do with it. So that really was where.
So sorry, going back then, when you were tenants, was the land not used by?
No.
Oh, so you were like a physical border.
It was very much a physical border.
Oh, was it?
So it did contain the festival to a very small area, because strategically where we are is smack in the middle as it is now.
Wow.
So I didn't realise.
Yeah. So we had sort of had probably a little bit of a handshake, I suppose, of Michael Levis of we'll grow with you. And that's what happened, really. And that's what's happened. It's like a bit of a, I don't know, what do you call it, a tsunami creeping on through. And it is really. It's just takes us over.
I bet it does.
And everyone says, "Oh, it's only a weekend." You think, well, it's actually for us. Realistically, it's a minimum of 3 months.
Surely it's going to be the whole year, effectively.
Well, it's the beginning of May to the end of July.
In terms of physically.
And a bell curve of activity, obviously, with the peak of the weekend. So, 2 months to set up and a month to clear. And then obviously you've got whatever damage occurs.
I was going to say, if you've got the damage, cause I think was it Duncan said you got was it one cut of grass silage, was it?
Yeah, well, first cut will be the whole farm.
But
as soon as you've cut, that's it. It's open season then, so they're out there. Putting infrastructure in. So then we'll snack another little cut first, second week of June. It's kind of late as we can.
Oh, so they've put some infrastructure in, but then
most of it will be in by
you'll
then.
work round it. What grass is there?
You're into small paddocks. So once you've cut, that's the only time we cut the whole farm. And then we'll sneak round. So really, it's in their world it's site clearance. In our world it's feed. But it's a nice, it's a lovely lush cut of grass. So it's a light second cut. So we're sneaking around. All sorts of things as you can imagine. Our work rate is quite low that time of year. But so we'll sneak that off, and then really once it's gone, we'll be into reseeding. But you've got to remember, most vehicles are on some form of hard track, be it hardcore or metal roadway. So really, it's only people.
So how much do you actually reseed? Is it the whole farm every year?
Depends on the year.
Right. So you're mainly putting in, I'm guessing, Westerwolds and Italians?
No. No, you don't want big tall stuff growth.
Well, no, I was just thinking because it's short and...
we're almost into, or a proportion of amenity.
Right.
You want thick, bushy, dense.
Down.
Yeah, you don't want it big, tall, stalky stuff, because also you've got to get the litter out as well.
Yes.
So the last thing you want is it all to be growing like ryegrass.
No, I was thinking, obviously, Italians, Westerwolds, that year, 18 months, bang, that's it if you're doing it every year. But
no, you want that base. You want that, because you've got people walking around. The last thing you want is a muddy. I mean, I'll turn it to mud, obviously. So the more, the thicker sort of a brush type.
So how does that affect your silage quality then?
Well, we generally are placed in the silage competition locally. We still make good silage. We're still farmers.
Well, but you know what I mean.
Rightly or wrongly, maybe we're fools. Maybe we should say have it and top it, but
it's not us. You're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You're not using those grasses that have been bred for silage or grazing.
Well, there is a proportion of it, but there is a proportion of our clover's one we probably struggle with. Because it doesn't really like that sort of a competition.
And usually it takes a good year to get going anyway.
Yeah, so that's going to be. Although obviously with the SFI we shall be making the most of that.
Yep.
And incorporating some clover. So we'll see how it
goes.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because there's an incentive there to do it. So why shouldn't we take it?
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
So you're stitching in stuff. Most of it's a direct drill type thing.
So it's not
a harrow and grass harrow with a seed box.
Yeah, it's not a full as in turn it over.
Oh my God, no! You don't want to be doing that.
No,
and you don't need to because it's only people.
Yeah.
So it's surface.
But are you doing? Are you getting? Do you get compaction because of it? Because it's people.
It's some of the stage areas would be.
Yep.
And you do see that.
Yep.
But in a way, you don't really want to mess with it too much. In a way, a good dry summer.
Yep.
With the cracks, it's probably going to do more than we would mechanically do.
In terms of opening it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's we generally get that.
Yep.
So kind of let nature do what nature does.
And you don't want to be disturbing. The more you turn it over, etc., the more unstable it's going to be. The worse it's going to make the mess and where it's going to go.
So really, it's all effectively, I say, permanent grass, but it may not be permanent. So again, it's never that field and not that field, and it's it's an area, it's a track, it's a corner, it's a blob in the middle.
Yep.
And sometimes you end up just reseeding the whole field.
Yeah.
Because time you've lifted the drill in and out,
it's not worth it.
You just well leave it in. And
I suppose the litter must be quite difficult then.
That's all picked by them.
Oh right. So
all hand picked.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's pretty. Yeah.
What about?
Wow, oh, that's great.
I'm assuming things get left. Metal detectors. I'm assuming it's got to be standard on your silage equipment, or is that done separate?
Big magnet.
Big magnet.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's crucial. We'll pick up tons.
Yep.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, all the litters, pretty well litters, they're good on the litter.
Yep.
And that's gone.
So the magnet sorts out the stuff they couldn't pick up.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Although, when was the last break? I can't remember when the last break was. So we generally plough up, just give it a bit of a break, usually a bit of wheat or maize.
Yep.
Not in all of it, some of it.
Yep.
Some of the fields that have had probably the hardest time. And you can plough up and you've almost like this pin cushion of tent pegs, rusty tent pegs coming up at you. You go like, oh my God. But it's something, again, we cope with.
I was going to say, first thing you pretty much said, you've never known any different, because what's it been going, was it late 60s or early 70s? I can't remember.
70 or 71 or
something like that. So
wow.
You've never known any
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. We were, my kids have grown up with it. I've nearly
You've pretty much grown up.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must have then,
Although it was probably not so accessible when I was. No, it was keep out, I think.
Very much so.
It was a bit too scary when I was a kid.
I see.
But it isn't anymore.
As you said, was it mid-80s and the fights that used to go on, and
remember
the people trying to get in.
The travellers, wasn't it? And stuff.
Oh, really?
I can remember all that.
Yeah.
Putting something in gateways to keep them out.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly I remember when the wind was in the right direction, we'd hear it at home. And these days, I know a lot of them, because I've seen one or two, because I've walked around. I only live 3 fields away from Babington House, which is now well known for celebrity marriages, etc., etc., etc. And I've been up there, funny enough, during the pop festival weekend, and it's funny sometimes who you run into. And you think, is that, or isn't it? And one was one time, saw this guy with 2 kids walking up through Babington Woods, and it was like, is that? No, can't be. Anyway, very polite, lovely, came back the other way. I was with a friend, we were taking some pictures or something in the woods, and then they walk on up, and you're like, no, it can't be. And then you hear this, Daddy, Apple wants a poo. And you're like going, yes, that's definitely Chris Martin.
Yes. There you go. Yeah.
It was lovely. They were lovely, sort of thing. But it's just, and I say Babington's now known for other things, but for me it was just always Babington.
Yeah. No, I'm not very good at spotting celebs.
No.
People say, "Oh, so-and-so's over there," and you go like, "Really? Who is it? Yeah. And is it really?"
Yeah.
I mean, what do you stay here during the weekend, or do you go, or?
No, that's where the party is, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you enjoy it and listen to the music.
I love music.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably part of why maybe I love music.
Yeah, you grew up with it.
You know, I've forgotten more than I can remember of who I've seen.
Yeah, I bet down here.
And how often can you just say, you know, so and so's on tonight. We're just gonna pop over and see them.
That's right. Yeah.
Or, like struggling to go to Cardiff or Wembley or something.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
From that.
Well, who's your favourite then that you've seen?
I don't know. So many, too many.
Yeah.
There must be some standouts.
I mean, you just mentioned it then, Coldplay.
Yep.
They're maybe getting a bit of a bad press, I think. Bless them for this year, another year of Coldplay. And I probably wasn't a huge fan until the last time they played, and I can't remember when that was now. But it was one of those sort of evenings, and they had these wristbands. I don't know if you're familiar with it. They had these wristbands.
Yes.
Everyone had a wristband, and they all changed colour.
Yep.
And if you've ever been to one of their concerts or seen it in a stadium or whatever, it's quite weird how it all works.
Yep.
All right.
So it was quite a spectacle.
Yep.
I was lucky to get kind of, I'm going to say backstage. It wasn't really backstage. It's in the wings on the pyramid to Kylie.
Oh yeah.
So we saw her from behind. I'll leave it at that. Sorry. But that was fascinating to see. That was a Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to see that crowd
Yeah.
and what she was, and I remember seeing her before. She was in this sort of thing, ready. It turned.
Yep.
And you could see her face, and she was physically. You could see she was nervous.
Yeah.
But as soon as she turned, it's like a switch went.
Yeah.
She was a performer then, and off she went.
It's amazing,
The crowd
isn't it?
was just.
But it's funny you mentioned pyramid stage. I like to tell that story. If you go, I've been on the pyramid stage. Like, what? Oh, when Michael won the Gold Cup and they had everything up on the pyramid stage.
Yeah.
I've been on the
was
pyramid
there.
stage. And they're like, oh.
Yeah. Must be very daunting though, as a.
And it's a lot bigger than you realise, that
yeah.
pyramid stage, once you've actually got on there. It's
Apparently,
huge.
still too small. Apparently.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose they've got all the stuff.
Yeah.
But that day when we were up there, because it was wet, I remember they moved a lot of people up there, wasn't it? It's like, it's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's my story. I've been on the pyramid
That's
stage.
it. That's right.
Yeah. It must be overwhelming. I mean, if you think of people like Elton John that was on that stage and the amount of people that were just baying for him and just absolutely loved him. As a performer, it must be amazing, but gee,
Yeah.
to actually just carry on performing.
I guess there's
like
a degree of adulation, but also terror, mustn't it?
Terror must be. Yeah. You
Don't want to mess this up, do you? No pressure.
Yeah.
How do you think we feel?
Well, I should say more than we're here with our little microphones. That's right.
But I mean, the overwhelming sort of like feeling you've got with people that are just sort of like chanting for you, and it must be very emotional.
That's the other thing as well with Glastonbury. You know, they've all bought the ticket before the lineup,
Yeah, they'd say it's gone before they even know,
so
isn't
you don't
it?
even know who you're going to go and see.
Yeah.
I think
There's rumours every year.
Of course there is. Yeah, but I think that's the fascinating, and I think that's part of the attraction of it, is that you're going for the experience, not to see the band.
And yeah.
Probably then.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you get, we always say, we'll stay away from the main stages and we'll go and see some of the fringe stuff. And
Yeah.
you do get drawn, sadly, to the big stuff because someone says, "Oh, did you see Elton John?"
Yeah.
Like, no, you're like, "What?" Why would?
But you guys could probably hear him from your garden.
Well, so there is a bit of that. Yeah,
I mean, okay, then how does it affect your cows?
it doesn't. The only way it affects them is that they're housed.
Yeah. Which for what you're saying they are anyway down at the main farm, aren't they?
Yeah, would have to be because
Yeah.
we're competing with something that's uncompetable, really.
I mean, financially, that's
Well, just physically.
yeah.
They want our farm from beginning of May.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
turned
what's
out.
going to happen this year, given how wet it is?
Oh, it'll dry out, won't it?
Well, we hope it will do.
Better do.
Yeah.
We'll be moaning it's too dry in a minute. I'm sure.
Yeah.
As you said. Yeah.
Saying that this is now April and
Yeah.
June could be different. They'll be laughing at ourselves, going, "We really thought it was too
Well, what
wet."
was it? Was it last year, June, July? It got wet again, didn't it? We suddenly we effectively had a second spring, or our spring wasn't really till July. I mean, some of the grass quality.
I think was it the festival last year was one of the hottest weekends, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you've had one or two that have been frightfully wet.
They have, yeah. Really wet. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure in place. There's a lot of drainage.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of the old sort of
mud bath.
library pictures, as they were, of tents being submerged, doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Because those things have all been sorted really with drainage and.
Yeah, my children have been when it has been very wet, and there was lovely photos they took of the mud and the wellies and the.
But it's something that I think as well that, and I can remember being, shall we say, in a toilet, a urinal thing, and a couple of guys going, "This is one of the best festivals I've ever been to," and I'm like, "It's a mud bath." Like, really? But a lot of these guys don't know. Themselves. They don't know. We live in wellies.
Yeah.
Never have a set of wellies. Never. We bought them for the festival. Probably leave them there.
I say the amount of stuff that
so
just gets
actually a bit of mud to normal people, whatever.
Enjoying yourself.
Enjoy yourself in the wet.
I've heard people say, "Well, what year do you go?" Oh, that's a dry one. Yeah, you haven't really been to a festival. No. Got to go in the muddy, wet one, haven't you? You can't dry anything, and your tent's
and then the heat as well, I suppose.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah, I mean that would be worse. They really get hot then.
Yeah, nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide.
I'd say even in tent, you're not going to get any shade.
No, certainly not. It's even worse.
Yeah.
But I was sort of thinking, you were talking about the cows. It depends on the guy that's singing whether the milk goes up or down. Yeah. I don't know how good they are.
We'd love to think about that.
We'd love to, wouldn't we?
I mean, we have like most people have radio in the parlour.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I think they're used to music.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I think, end of the day, our little island of cows is pretty separated from it all. Really.
So particularly on those 3 days, well, let's say week then, because people come in.
It's Wednesday to, and most punters will leave Monday.
Yeah.
By Monday night, it's
So I've been caught in queues, sort of Bristol way, just people that have obviously come from here and just like, get out the way. But how do you and your staff cope in that week? Do you do minimal because you want to all go and enjoy it as much as you can? Do you just keep to the routine? How do you
so cows and chicken, obviously that life carries on.
Yep.
Nothing changes on that. Has to.
Yep.
Obviously field work will stop.
Yep.
But then it will start up quite, what normal people would think this is a quiet time of year pre-harvest, because we grow a lot of wheat as well. And, so our pre-harvest preparation is reseeding and magneting and harrowing festival ground. So the farm is sort of a never dull, really. There's always some activity. But milking just carries on. Milk just carries on. It just carries on. Has to.
And your entrance and exits are not blocked or.
Well, so how do you find out? If
You've got to prepare a little bit. You don't think, I've forgotten something. I'll just pop back.
Yeah.
It's.
The milk tank you can get in and out.
But obviously there's more activity than normal, but our track is kept pretty clear.
Right.
It's important to us all, isn't it? Really?
It's got to be.
And it's important to the festival that there's a clear way sort of up through the middle. So that works well for us and them. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Really. It's just a buzz and a hubbub sort of
around
noise.
And you can't get away from it even if you want to.
No. But that must be really, I can understand why you enjoy it, because even from my point of view, that might not be a tremendous festival goer, but I'd love to sit out in my garden with a glass of wine and listen to the music just all day and all night.
But I think it's all things for all people. You can get caught up in the main stages, or you can kind of clear up onto the hill.
I say it's evolved, hasn't it? Because we were talking about the mid-80s and travellers and fighting. It's a lot more family now. I've never been, but I've known plenty of friends that have and brought their kids or just come for the day, because locals can come for the day, can't they? And there's a lot more family activities.
A bit more middle class, if that's the right word.
Probably.
Obviously, there's a lot of that glamping on the fringes as well.
Yeah.
But inside, it's just normal. And I would say not necessarily all young people. I think it covers all age groups, really, because there's something for everyone there.
Yeah.
I know families in Taunton that everyone in the family goes, and sort of like from the teenager through to the granny.
I've got friends that come every year with a particular charity or whatever, they come every year, and they must have been coming 20, 30 years. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, when I was in Venture Scouts, they used to provide the security here for the festival, and just after I joined, that's when he was told he had to go professional and had to get professionals in, and all of a sudden we were like, oh, we've got to go fundraising now, because obviously they did that couple of days down here, and it was a couple of grand or whatever it was, and that was our fundraising for the year done. And all of a sudden, oh, we haven't got that anymore. We've got to raise funds another way. It was locally. It's always been very good at supporting.
It is. It's fascinating. I mean, at the end of the day, it is very professional, health and safety, etc. All those. It's a public event, isn't it? It's got to be strict nowadays. And everyone's been through training, and whether you're a steward or whatever.
Yeah. My son's been a steward.
Some form of training, but also, so it gets some people access to the festival. Through that.
Yeah, my son did that. He got the,
Let's say that's how friends of mine.
So kind of everyone sort of, not everyone, but people can't. There are ways in. You might have to work for it, rather than being lucky enough to buy a ticket, which seems to be one of those sort of lotteries, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But there are ways of gaining access.
But I must
properly,
admit,
not
yes,
the other.
But my daughter's actually been. I think she's been twice, and they bought tickets. So it's not like it is a lottery, but it's not impossible.
I don't know what the people ask me, and I've never bought one.
No.
So it's difficult to know, but there does seem to be some people always seem to get them, and some people
don't.
Sometimes do.
But I mean, it's had a knock on locally. I remember being in Frome one evening, thinking, "What are all these people queuing upside the cheese and grain for?" Oh, I was doing whatever, and I just went home. Next thing I know, the Foo Fighters are in town. You're like, oh, how did I miss the fact that the Foo Fighters are in town? It's like, these things happen.
Oh, that's great.
No, it's brought a lot of benefits to the local community, and
definitely,
and a lot of fun and a lot of entertainment.
I think so. I think it's all good stuff, isn't it?
It is. It is so much.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it is a challenge, no doubt about it. There's someone on our farm for a minimum of 3 months.
Yes,
and that's a challenge.
I was going to say, how do you find that?
Yeah, those COVID years were quite nice. So
bit of a break.
In 4 years we had one festival. That was quite some peaceful summers, which was quite nice. I always think those 3 months are our best 3 months in the UK. May, June, and July.
Definitely.
And for us, it's a hive of activity, really. So it's a challenge. It also drives our farming system. We don't have anything. Well, we'll wait till next week. No, you don't. It's coming. We cannot delay that event. Whatever happens.
It happens.
So it really focuses the mind on what we do, get us planned. Things we have to be prepared for. With deliveries, it's a little bit like Christmas. You kind of prepare and get stocked up, because you don't want to be bringing people with deliveries in, trying to fight that.
Yes.
Let's just be prepared and make sure we've got enough bedding and enough.
Food, make sure
whatever
comes in
There's various things. Chicken is probably the biggest one, because we're generally on a schedule. And in fact, one of our units is going to be sort of thinning and clearing either side of that weekend. So there's some days you want to avoid. The Monday, especially after. Because everyone leaves. It's chaos. So,
I have literally been stuck in traffic queues almost here on the way to Bristol. Because everyone's just leaving.
It takes them probably 3 days to get in. And they all want to leave in a day. So there's stuff like that you kind of prepare for and get done early, because don't usually start until 8-9 o'clock in the morning. Bizarrely. They've had a hard night, I guess, Sunday night, isn't it? So you get everything done, get all that done, and then.
So as you say, it's effectively a second Christmas in terms of making sure it's organised and everything is here.
Makes sense.
And to get into the dairy, we have to have all the access passes on our vehicles and wristbands. So they're pretty good at letting us through.
Do you find it, when you're employing staff, people go, oh, I want to go there because of the pop festival? Or do they go, I guess they probably already filtered themselves out beforehand, but do you find that is some of what attracts some of your staff?
Because we're obviously 3 times a day milking. So nights are generally part-time type roles, and we do try and make sure that everyone, they need it to come milking. They need a pass. So we try and make sure that the people that are milking will have pass. We may be lucky to have some extras. So those type, they can. It is a benefit. I
your
think.
Permanent staff.
Not all of them, because they're in and out, so they all have.
But they go, I want to work there because I've got a week, 3 days of music.
Not sure about that. No.
You've never found that as a
selling point. No,
because you've recently done the Real Success, haven't you? On all the staff.
Well, no, we've done I think 3 or 4 now.
Yep.
So we just had a bit of change, a bit of extra. So there was a bit of a group that hadn't been done.
Yes.
And so we had, and we find that so beneficial.
Oh,
just not
amazing.
Just personally for us, but for the everyone that does it.
So I think I put some comment on social media. I've had it done to myself.
Yeah.
And when I got the full profile back from, was it, how many questions? 100 questions? I can't remember.
I think it's 40.
It's 40, whatever it was. You sort of, you read it and you're like, oh, that's kind of frightening because that is me.
It really describes you.
And that's just off of a few, ticking a few boxes. And it's like, how?
Yeah.
Because one of my colleagues at the time read it and how is it? I'm like, that's kind of a bit frightening.
Yeah. And 4 traits, and that's, I find it, I love it. I did a master's, I did an MBA back in the 2008.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. How I did that, I'm not really sure. I managed it sometimes. Didn't go out, didn't sleep, didn't watch TV. But so I did like things like Myers-Briggs and stuff. Yes. So I just loved that type of thing. I find it
me too.
Fascinating. Yeah. And when Paul Harris did his thing, I thought we need to do this.
Yeah.
And it's something simple. It's not 30 or 40 traits that none of us can remember.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. So do you remember where you score?
Oh, I do know where I am. Yeah. Yes. I'm a visionary adventurer. I'm a U.
Are you?
Paul's chart. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm weird because I'm visionary, investigator, teamwork.
Are you?
And very low on
adventure.
I'm just sort of 26, 27 on those 3 traits.
Okay.
Or whatever, that sort of late 20s.
Yeah.
And then, only about 15 on adventure or something. But I know I'm going, most people are only high on 2 and you're high on 3.
Yeah.
Or just over the line on 3 sort of thing. And it's just, but I certainly remember a colleague at the time did it, and when I'd not long been in the role I was, and I was struggling to interact with her and trying to, how was your weekend, blah, 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 blah. She did it and she was very high and visionary. And I knew then...
Bullet points.
Yeah, straight to the point. And after that, we started to get on better because of it. And it's like, it does work.
It's brilliant. All the signs are there.
Yeah,
they're all there.
We have asked Paul to do a podcast at some point, and he said he would do one. So he is on the.
Yeah. I mean, Becky. Paul's done the previous one, so Becky did this one.
Yep.
And she's excellent.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun actually.
Yeah.
Some people go in there with arms crossed, like, why am I here? And it's like at the end of it, we're all laughing and saying, "You're like that. I knew you were like that, but now I know why you're like that."
Yeah, exactly.
And it's understandable. Don't talk about the weather. Just tell me what you want to tell me and go.
Yeah.
Go, exactly.
But what's quite nice is also exactly what you guys have said, is understanding other people's thinking. Because sometimes you get offended by somebody and you wonder why, and they weren't trying to offend you. And then in the end of the day, once you understand that, then
it all makes sense. And they understand as well.
Yeah.
You go like, just dial it down.
Dial it down a bit.
Especially with a large team. I don't know how many you've got here in total. It must be, 20, 30?
Yeah, we're approaching 30.
30. So that many people, you need it really.
It's always, I think I love it. I like people, and I think it just helps everybody understand everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
We do use it a lot.
Yeah,
it's a real reference for us. We do appraisals, annual appraisals.
Yep.
We do quarterly team meetings, and we've just started having them here actually.
Yep.
We used to go to a local pub, but it's a little bit formal.
Yeah.
So our last one was here. We've just got local bacon rolls and coffees and orange juice and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have each of our enterprises quite siloed in our structure.
Yeah.
So it's cows, chicken, arable, or cropping, or operations as we call it. So those 3 teams will present what's happening, what's happened, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yep. keeps everybody up to
How
date
many
with
tractors
what's
they've
going on.
bought? I don't. You know. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
It's fascinating the three what they present and how they present, and again it's back to the characters.
Yep.
You know, and the operation guys will always have pictures of tractors and fields and stuff.
Yes.
It's what motivates them, isn't it? And then the
right.
herdsmen will have pictures of cows and calves and
Yeah.
partners, and it's just it's what they do, isn't it? So it just teaches each of the teams that there's something else happening on
On the farm.
Yeah. And we've also got into social media because why wouldn't you? And we were finding, I think, reason for that really was where do we advertise if we want people, be it a night milker, relief milker, to a full-time someone. Used to be the Farmers Weekly, but that doesn't seem to be there anymore, unless you're corporate or something. It's very expensive. Don't think it gets the coverage. And there's all sorts of people that say, oh yeah, I always so-and-so, but I'm not really sure. It's not clear, is it, where to go? So we were kind of using a bit of Facebook. So we thought, well, we need to do better than this. So now we've got Facebook, Twitter or X.
Yes. Instagram,
of course, and our website.
Yes.
So we've developed that ourselves. My daughter, she manages that. And she's brilliant at it. And we do post. We're not antagonists. We're not there to fight, have battles with anybody. We are just, and there's no sort of underlying message. We're just saying what we're doing, really, in a gentle, easy way, but encouraging questions. Why, what.
How do you find the interaction? Because I've got to admit, before, when I started the business myself just under 2 years ago, it was, I don't want to go on Facebook. I hate Facebook. And I thought, I will go on Twitter. But anyway, so suddenly at last minute, I thought, I'll go on Facebook. Because I suddenly thought, actually, all the people I want to talk to, which is our generation, are on Facebook. So I went on Facebook. And I had a couple of people going, you want to go on Instagram? No. And I finally went on Instagram. It was about 6 months ago, probably about the time I was doing the cow signals or something, I did it. And do you know what? It's funny, the people that now follow on Instagram that never would have followed on Facebook, it's that younger generation. And it's like, it's opened my eyes that actually it's different social media platforms for different generations, different age groups, however you want to speak. They've always said it, but I've actually seen it myself now.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok's one we kind of we're thinking about, but I'm a dinosaur, so I love it, and she's very gentle, very educational. Is what we're trying to be.
Bridget, isn't it?
Well, so it's Bridget's daughter, Florence. She's just very good at it. And like I said, we're not trying to have battles with people. Even on Twitter, you can quite easily have battles, and we don't. We're very gentle. We're just saying what we're doing.
Being informative.
But that's what we're trying. Things, but also the challenges. Things like TB. We will post this stuff and what's happening and why, and these cows are going to have to go. So we're trying to be educational rather than create fights and wars. Just tell it like it is, really. And this is what's affecting us and why and how.
I get you, because I know with myself, I don't want to. I want to get it out there that I'm doing something, but I don't want to get into fights and arguments. It's not worth it. I made a mistake once years ago. Someone said, "Oh, just reply to some vegan on something," and I did, and I thought, why? Because it just went. It's just not worth it.
I couldn't do it. I would say something wrong. I'm a bullet point man. But Florence is she's very much the team maker in Harris's Vita profile. So she's far gentler about it all.
The best thing you can do is not answer.
Well, in that sort of thing. But she gets a lot of sort of DMs, direct messages, or questions, certainly through Facebook. Of why,
what. That's good.
And so she will reply, and she does engage, because most of them are just normal questions about why is this? It's not some vegan territorial thing that you're all doing it all wrong and you shouldn't be doing this. It's not. It's just.
Well, I mean, with this, we've always tried to make it not too technical, so non-farmers can listen to it. And I know you do. And I've even had a few friends go, "Oh, you really ought to do something that's even more basic level that just explains what's going on with farming." It's like. okay.
Too broad.
But yeah, what, you know.
Well, it's when you, I mean, we just hosted a bit of a Sainsbury's visit because we sell our milk through Sainsbury's, and the guy that came out we were talking about dry cows, and he goes like, "What's a dry cow?"
Yeah.
It's like you take for granted this stuff.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So there's some basic terminology but all industries are like that, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, I did another cow signals course. Hold on, we're now February. A couple of guys that were on it. One, he'd started working for a supplier within the industry, but he had no background in agriculture at all.
Yeah.
And he said it just opened his eyes to actually get out on the farm, meet some cows, meet some people, start to understand the language a bit more. Because as you say, we all take for granted. We talk about dry cows, cell counts. I had that the other day. I put up on social media about how much rain we'd had at home, and it was double what it was. So the local news podcast picked up on it, and I was talking to them, and I said, "Oh yeah, it's probably going to. I know people it's affecting their cell counts. What's a cell count?"
Yeah.
So then I had to explain what a cell count was. Well, it's a measure of the dead white blood cells and it's fighting an infection. And it's just like...
Where am I going?
Yeah. Whereas we just don't even think about it. It's a cell count problem or whatever it happens to be. And you're just like...
Things like lame cows, you go like, "What's a lame cow?"
Yeah, no,
So it was outside Tesco's in the town here, and go, "There's a lot of lame people."
that's right. You have good examples.
Yeah, so sometimes I think we probably beat ourselves up.
Yeah, but what you guys are doing, to me, that is vitally important and actually the right thing to do. We sort of speak about misinformation about our industry. Yeah. If we don't put out information,
then can we say?
Yeah.
We say no one's doing it. Yeah. That's all we're just trying. Our little corner.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah,
people want to listen. I think we've got something like 1,000 people on Facebook.
Amazing. Yeah,
which for us that's amazing.
That is a lot.
But we're not there to get clicks or anything.
No.
It's lovely. It's lovely that someone's more than one person is looking at it, and it's not family.
Because I suppose the biggest problem in agriculture worldwide is that people are moving further and further away from
urbanisation,
generations of farmers. Yeah. So, I mean, I remember in absolute horror listening to a South African rugby player describing, well, he's not really from farming background. South Africans are always from farming background. We think we are. Yeah. But to hear a young guy saying he's not, you sort of go, what? And it's become very distant from that. And,
I think, well, it's happening, isn't it? Urbanisation is a thing, isn't it? And
that's right.
I think it's sort of in Oz, most people in Oz were, when I first got there, were only probably 1 or 2 generations away from the land, and they had a better understanding, but it's now definitely gone.
It's gone. So we have to inform, like you guys are doing. You have to be sure to be out there and telling people.
I think you just do your bit, isn't it? It's not it's not on a school curriculum.
No.
We did have local school came out a year ago. That was an experience definitely not for me. They were 10 to 12, I think.
Well, so like my 8-year-old, it would have been a nightmare.
It was. I mean, there was Bridget, my wife. She kind of ran it really with one of our head tractor driver, arable manager, and I thought what I'm interested with the cows is to put a pile of each ingredient, what one cow will eat in a day.
Measure
it out by the silage, right down to the mineral. And then explained it all. We were feeding moist feed.
That's interesting.
Trafford Gold.
Yes.
And they said, "What's that?" And I said, "Trafford Gold. What's that?" And they go, "It's a sort of a byproduct from what?" And all these questions, you go like, "Well, it's sort of ethanol." What's ethanol? It's like alcohol. You go like, he feeds his cows alcohol. It's like, oh no. So Farmer Neil really did mess up that day. It's like, what message are we giving these kids? So you've got to be really careful, and that's the bit I think sometimes.
I wouldn't be much.
I'll come up with the ideas, and someone else can.
Well, you're an adventurer, so you're the ideas man.
I've got all the ideas. That's right.
But my problem is I can sometimes be very direct when I explain. So if you ask me a question, I'll give you the answer. And sometimes, like you've just said, that's not really what you should have done.
No. That was it. Yeah, that was another thing as well. It was a male. The teacher was a male teacher, and then all of a sudden, there's like this girl was saying like, "Where's the bull?" Because it's like, oh, they're all cows, they're all female.
Yeah.
Where's the bull?
Yep.
We don't have any bulls.
Yeah.
well, so how did I get pregnant? And you go like, really?
Yeah.
And it's like, Bridget was like, Mr. I don't know what his name was,
Yes.
will be talking to you about that in the science lesson. That day, right out. I would have started blabbing. I would have been going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, I would have done the same. Yeah. I would have explained exactly how it's done, and halfway through it, I would have thought, what are you doing?
Yeah, so there's some things, you think a little bit.
I've got to be honest, I think I've had one or two of those with my kids, and you sort of bat it off in that way. That it's like, we'll worry about that when you're a bit older.
Yeah, can ask your mother.
Ask your mother. Ask your teacher at school. I think that's right.
Even better.
Even better. Take it away.
That's funny.
Oh dear. Well, I'm looking at the time now, and we've been here for nearly an hour.
Oh, we already?
Wow.
Good job you got a time limit.
It is.
Well,
really
we
is.
can keep
You
going
get
if
some,
you really want.
some cans in, we can talk some real nonsense. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So bearing that in mind that we've been going nearly an hour now, I guess really any last words of wisdom?
I think for me, it's kind of, focus on what you do and be good at it.
Yep.
And look after yourself, look after your people, really. And
None of this happens without people, does
I don't
it?
get an evangelist, but that's what it's about. And I just think we get an enjoyment out of that, encouraging people, because they're all part of the family, really. Most of our guys live on farm.
Yep.
So they are. This is their home as well as ours.
Yeah.
So we try and create that. We try and look after everybody. Be a decent place to work. Enjoy it. Okay, but there's still work to be done.
Yep.
So it's not a holiday camp.
Yep.
But you'll get, paid well, live well, time off.
Yep.
And I think that's the other thing as well. We're just personally, brother and I are looking at now is as we approach this big number of ages.
Is there another generation coming?
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, how do they all fit in? Where do they want to?
Yeah.
In what capacity is the farm? We've really carried on sort of Dad's legacy of cows and chicken and crops.
Yeah.
We haven't really diverse. Really, we've got some rentals and renewables and various other, obviously the festival.
But it's still.
But essentially, it's we haven't really diversified our core.
Yep.
Because one, that's what we know, that's what we're good at, that's what we enjoy.
And like you said, the biomass is really onto the bulk.
It's only supporting the chicken.
Yeah.
But it's another income stream.
Yep.
That's kind of how we look at it. But what's the next generation really? What do they want to do? And we probably shouldn't stand in their way. But things like robots, that's another. It's a real attraction, I think. You can still milk cows, but you haven't got to be stuck in that pit.
You've not got the drudgery in the same way.
The sort of repetitiveness of that can be quite a chore. So kind of a view on that, but also that actually my brother and I must step away and allow that to happen. And that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
That's going to be really hard. But we're taking advice, we're speaking to different people.
Good.
Because we're not going to do it on our own.
Yeah.
But the sooner we can do that, the better, because
It wants to be in a structured way, doesn't it?
it does. But again, we have to allow that to happen, and that's going to be tough.
Yep.
For sure, that's going to be tough for us.
Yep.
I accept that. So that's really the future. Where's that? What's the farm going to look like in the next generation? Who knows? And you said about cows. That's what we're looking at as well. At Steanbow is the robots.
Yep.
I think that's an attractive way. It does change the way of life to some extent.
Yep.
I think there's an attraction there for the next generation as well.
Yep.
Tractors, again, they're all going that way with all the tech. The poultry side is definitely that, but it's there's still that, you still have that stockmanship, which I think that's a reward as well, isn't it? That if you're just relying on a machine to do it all,
Yep.
I think that could get really monotonous.
Yeah.
Because you're only a button pusher then, aren't you?
I did see something the other day that said industries that are going to lose jobs or you're not going to be able to work in future because it'll all be automated. One of them was agriculture, which was really interesting. I mean, I know you potentially got automated tractors and we've got the robots, but you still need somebody to, certainly with the livestock have that stockmanship.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as especially this unit here, is the information that's coming at you from all the various, so we say gadgets that are out there or in them. Yeah. You still got to see that and still make that decision of what do you do with that information.
Yeah.
It's all right having it, but you've got to decide. Make that decision.
Yeah.
How do we treat this animal if you need treating or doesn't need treating or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the fun of it as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
Keeps you interested. Yeah. It can be challenging on days, can't it? But hopefully there's more good days than bad. Yes, right. Yeah.
And Neil, you got
absolutely. I've enjoyed it immensely. But what we're actually saying, I think the younger generation that's coming through is going to be more interested in the AI part of agriculture, which is the predicted part. Now, if you're already going down that route, that's tremendous because that is where their minds are.
Yeah.
They walk around with a mobile phone staring at it. It's the whole sort of like changing of how things are working. Yeah. And it's as far, I mean, if you think Mike Jones was speaking about it, where he'd started his career was farming, and I'm basically the same. Admittingly, my dad was a professor in computers, but when I started my job, I was a hosting classifier that would go and look at cows, and that's all we did. And then I got a computer, and it stood up my whole life from wanting to basically be a farmer to working with computers. And they love it.
There you go. Yeah.
And they love that AI. It's exciting to them. And I think that's, I see it as the future.
Yeah, so. Definitely. Yeah.
But the only thing I've got to say is this is obviously the end of our second year of podcasting.
Isn't that good?
I know. Who'd have thought we'd still be doing it? Who'd have thought? And we still get new listens. I know. I don't know if I said to you, we've had our first listen from Papua New Guinea for it's currently online at the moment. So we get some weird and wonderful places.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
We do. Yeah. But so I guess as we bring this to a close, first of all, thank you, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Thank you. Really good.
Thank you for everyone that's listened to us for the last 2 years. We've certainly got some plans for year 3 already happening and in place. So really, as always, if you'd like to message us, you can email us on podcast@ChewintheCud.com, or we're on social media, so Facebook, Twitter. Isn't it funny how it's always known as X, formerly known as Twitter, still in all the media? We all still call it Twitter. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So please feel free to, we're always open to interacting with anybody. But otherwise, I think that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you and goodbye.
And now for the really boring bit, I'm afraid, the legal disclaimer. The information provided during this podcast is being prepared for general information purposes only and does not constitute advice. The information must not be relied upon for any purpose, and no representation or warranty is given to its accuracy, completeness, or otherwise. Any reference to other organisations, businesses, or products during this podcast are not endorsements or recommendations of Chewing the Cud Limited. The views of Andrew Jones are personal and may not be the views of Chewing the Cud Limited, and the views of Neil Greggor are personal and may not be the views of Viking Genetics and any affiliated companies. For more information on the podcast, articles and details of services offered by Chewing the Cud Limited, visit www.chewinthecud.com. Thank you and goodbye.